Hello, my name is Jonathan Harris from Worldwide Camera Exchange. Pentax 645 cameras, really interesting niche product. Not everybody's cup of tea. It does have some drawbacks. I'm going to highlight those in a second. But if the features it offers you as a photographer work for you personally, there's very little that will beat it, frankly. I mean, it's a really clever bit of design. Okay, so it's a 645 film-based camera. Not as flexible as some of the other film-based cameras, 645 medium format cameras on the market. Not as flexible as the Bronica, not as flexible as Mamiya, and not as flexible as the Hasselblad. As you can probably see, it's got a built-in prism. The prism doesn't come off. So if you want a waist level finder where you view from down here, this is no good for you at all. You'll also see this big grip here. That's a built-in motor. It makes the camera relatively heavy. So if you don't want a heavy camera, again, not the camera for you. It also has a fixed film back. Now, later Mamiya cameras, Bronica cameras, Hasselblad cameras, they all have interchangeable backs. So if you want to change film mid-roll, you can't. You can preload film and put in these little plastic boxes and then very quickly swap the film over once you finish the film, but you do have to finish the film before you can do that. The lens is a non-leaf shuttered lens. So it's got a focal plane shutter in the camera. If you want high and long shutter speeds, that's fantastic. But if you're a photographer that uses a lot of flash, then it's not so good because you can't fire and sync with flash at all shutter speeds. So that's the drawbacks. The positive is that if you want a very handleable camera, a relatively small camera that sits incredibly well in the hand and handles almost like a 35mm camera, this is the camera to go for. The lenses. They make lenses from 25 all the way through to, I think, around 600. And they also make numerous zoom lenses. If you're looking for specialist lenses, specialist macro lenses, long lenses, wide lenses, this system offers more lenses than any other medium format system. This is the 645. This is the most likely film camera that you'll come across. There's also a 645N which has autofocus. There are then some later 645s and some later digital cameras. The system has been around since roughly 1984. What I'm going to do now is just focus on this model, the basic 645 film camera. Okay, so let's start first of all at the top. As I mentioned, it's got a built-in prism. You've got diopter correction there on the prism, which is fantastic. Most camera systems, you need to start messing about with interchangeable lenses. This is built in. It's got integral metering, which again makes it more 35mm E than most other more medium format cameras. You've also got various program modes. You've got program, aperture priority, shutter priority, and of course manual, which again many of the other medium format cameras don't offer. Modes are set there. Also set film speed on this top panel here, and these two little buttons here just scroll through the various options once you've got them selected. And you've got a little LCD display here to tell you what's going on. There's also an LED display in the viewfinder, which tells you shutter speed and aperture. Moving on to this side of the camera, shutter release button, on-off switch, that's all self-explanatory. On the front just here, you have the depth of field preview. Looking at the front of the camera, you have lens release, push it in, lens comes straight off, really straightforward. You don't need to worry about the camera being cocked like you do with lenses where the shutter is within the lens itself. So it's an easier system to use. On the lens itself, you've got the focusing, you've got the aperture, and you've got the little green A position which you set the lens to when you want to start using the shutter priority and the aperture priority through this control panel here. On this side, we have flash sync. We have tripod mounting, which is fairly handy. So you can mount it that way on the tripod, or you can mount it that way on the tripod through the tripod mounting on the bottom as well. These little lugs here and here are just for the straps. Moving on to the back, as I said, it's not an interchangeable back, but you can preload. The inserts. You can buy the inserts separately. You can preload them with film, as is done there, and then just put the insert in the box, ready for when it needs to be used. To release the back, you just turn this dial here. Obviously, to the left here, there's a film reminder. Turn the dial there. Back comes straight out, really straightforward. And if you look just in there, it's a cloth horizontal travel focal plane shutter. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's a relatively straightforward camera. As I said, it's more akin to a 35mm camera than a medium format camera, but that's really what it's all about. As I said at the beginning of the video, this isn't a massively flexible camera. It's very much a niche camera aimed at a particular niche of photographers that want the built-in winder, that want the big range of lenses, and that want the 35mm type handling, which this gives you probably more than any other medium format camera. I hope that's useful. If you've got any questions, please stick them in the comments box below. I always get back to people when I can. Otherwise, please subscribe and like, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.